Does violence in the media, especially in video games, lead to real-world violence? Absolutely not. And yet in another way, it certainly does.
Psychology. Made simple.
This is a long-standing and somewhat contentious debate, especially for parents and long-term gamers like me. The argument centers on two opposite poles. One suggests that violent media can increase aggression, desensitize users, and shape violent thinking. The other side asserts that evidence for this is weak or inconclusive, and that broader social, environmental, and methodological factors are at play. I'm a neurospicy psych major on the long road to PhD. You can call me Dex. And this 30,000-foot view of the debate will hopefully inform and, ideally, inspire you to want to learn more. Like everything in psychology, there's several competing yet compelling arguments, theories, behind a possible connection between violence in the media and violence in real life. Let's have a look at some of the most widely cited and most debated theories right now. First, let's discuss the general aggression model, a widely used framework that explains how exposure to violent media might influence aggressive thoughts, feelings, and arousal, potentially reinforcing aggressive behavior patterns over time.
Thank you for your cooperation.
Empirical studies back the generalized aggression model to an extent. For example, a 2024 to 2025 meta-analysis A meta-analysis is a statistical technique that combines the results of multiple independent studies on the same topic to identify overall trends, increase statistical power, and provide a more precise estimate of effects than any single study alone. Okay. For example, a 2024 to 2025 meta-analysis reviewed modern work and confirmed that exposure to violent video games still correlates with higher aggression and lower empathy, though the paper does concede that it remains a complex issue. Another theory is desensitization. Desensitization is certainly a thing, and it's a reliable, if a bit intense, method of curing phobias, for example. The idea, with phobias for instance, is that repeated exposure to a stimulus such as a spider or heights with increasing intensity over time will dull emotional response to the stimulus. When applying desensitization to violence, in one experiment involving video games, results showed lower physiological arousal, such as heart rate, among experienced players of a game compared to new players of a game when they witnessed violence within that game. This suggests that desensitization could reduce empathy and potentially raise aggression thresholds. When we also consider that the average child sees around 100,000 acts of violence, including 8,000 murders in the media, by the time they leave elementary school, I think it's worth at least considering desensitization when we discuss potential links between violence in the media and real-world violence. But there is a key counterpoint to both the GAM and desensitization theories. Well-designed meta-analyses found minimal or no long-term link between violence in media and real-world violence. For example, reviews have shown that earlier aggressive effects tend to dissipate over time, especially when using higher quality research methods.
Como en Madeira y yeso, you know what I'm saying. It's cool baby Dex dropping science like Balenciaga dropping Kanye. When you share a hug, your brain is flooded with happy juice, a cocktail of feel-good chemicals, endorphins, dopamine, serotonin, and especially oxytocin, also known as the love hormone. These chemicals help us bond, feel pleasure, and even relieve anxiety. Gentle touch activates special nerve receptors that prompt a release of oxytocin and more warm fuzzies. Hugging isn't just cozy, it's proper therapeutic. Studies show a good hug, even hugging a cushion, can lower stress hormones and ease stress response. My days, cuz. Hugging should low-key be on prescription. Getting frequent hugs is also linked to lower blood pressure and heart rate, especially in premenopausal women, thanks to oxytocin's soothing effects on the cardiovascular system. Turns out, an affectionate squeeze of 5 to 10 seconds is the sweet spot for easing stress and even strengthening immunity. People who hug often are better at fighting off the common cold and have milder symptoms when they do get sick. So next time you're feeling down or tense, know that a genuine hug, just a few seconds, does way more than you think. It's your brain's pick-me-up, your heart's gentle friend, and your immune system's little boost. Just don't come to me for your cuddles. I ain't got no arms in it. I got a chip. I can't get enough of them gym fails on YouTube. We out. Like, out.
Christopher Ferguson's reanalysis cast doubt on earlier findings, arguing that those studies often excluded higher quality research and overlooked methodological flaws within their experiments, such as poor indicators of real-world aggression. Seriously, some of the questions in these experiments were fairly laughable, such as how much hot sauce would you give someone who hates hot sauce, and fill in the missing letter. And answers to these and many more questions like that would indicate either a higher or lower inclination towards violence. Ferguson's work emphasises that well-designed studies usually show no significant negative effects. In fact, a 2019 fMRI study comparing brain activity in gamers during violent versus non-violent gameplay over around 2 months found no reduction in empathy or pro-social actions. This somewhat challenges the desensitization hypothesis. Another more recent perspective is that competitive or social stress, not violence itself, may be responsible for aggression. A 2025 study found that competition, even without violent content, can increase aggressive or hostile responses. This suggests that factors like competition deserve separate consideration. While traditional debates focus on dimensions such as aggression and empathy, it's worth recognizing that as the internet has developed, it's also brought with it a new dimension. Extremist groups are exploiting gaming platforms to radicalize vulnerable youth. A July 2025 study highlighted how live stream chats and Discord channels are being used to recruit new members by pushing violent content and ideologies into gaming communities. Now let's take this opportunity to swing back the other way, to the opposite side of the debate, and present some of the more well-known and widely cited alternatives. A major challenge in researching the possible relationship between violence and the media is avoiding the correlation-causation fallacy. The classic example here is noting the spike in ice cream sales during times when shark attacks are also more common.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Therefore, ice cream is clearly linked to shark attacks.
NANI?!
For researchers dealing with today's topic, the conundrum is finding a way to discover if violent media leads to violence in people. Are people who already have violent tendencies simply attracted to violent media? Leading researcher and all-round good egg, Christopher Ferguson, predictably has thoughts. Ferguson and his colleagues developed the catalyst model, which is his counter to the GAM. The core idea is that violent media does not cause aggression, it merely reflects pre-existing tendencies in certain individuals. The catalyst model suggests that biological and personality factors like genetics, impulsivity, or a history of trauma are the true causes of aggressive behavior. Violent media might be chosen by already aggressive individuals, but it does not create violent behavior. So the key is to think of violent video games or movies as more of a mirror than an actual trigger. So in the catalyst model, if a teenager who is already prone to aggression prefers violent games, the behavior came first, not the media. His study found no causal link between violent media use and aggression after controlling for personality traits and family environment. Ferguson's model also aligns with behavioral genetics studies, which show that heritable traits explain more variance in aggression than media exposure. There's also the uses and gratifications theory. The core idea is that media users are active participants, not passive consumers. They choose media content, including violent media, for specific psychological needs such as stress relief, escapism, or social connection. In the context of violent media, a person may play violent video games to release frustration, bond with friends, or feel a sense of mastery, not because they want to become violent, but because they want to achieve something by completing a level or defeating a tough boss.
Groovy.
This flips the usual cause-effect argument. Rather than media shaping the person chooses the media that suits their psychological state or goals. And of course there is supporting evidence for this particular model. Many studies show that most gamers do not become violent and aggressive, and instead report feeling more relaxed or connected after gaming. Research on mood management and emotional regulation suggests violent content can actually be used to cope with stress or anger, not amplify it. And because I'm in a good mood today, I have a bonus perspective. The moral panic theory suggests that public fears about violent media are often exaggerated due to moral panic, a social phenomenon where media, politicians or parents overreact to new technology or cultural shifts. I'm of an age when I remember the moral panic around Dungeons and Dragons, heavy metal music, the first Grand Theft Auto game, the second Rambo movie, and noted Buddhists and worldwide peace activists, the Beastie Boys. Video games may simply be the latest scapegoat for broader, maybe even justified societal concerns, such as youth violence, mental health, or poor parenting. So what's the balanced view here? Let's summarise. The general aggression model and desensitization theories suggest pathways through which violent media might shape behaviour, but recent empirical studies and reanalyses find that long-term links are weak or absent, and that competition or context may be more relevant than content alone. And on top of that, emerging social threats like radicalization through gaming platforms add complexity beyond conventional aggression concerns. But in case you haven't noticed, psychology is way more nuanced than that. Everyone is unique. There's no single one root cause to any psychological phenomenon. Not in my experience anyway. So is violence caused by environment, genetics, trauma, social learning, life experiences, situational triggers, brain chemistry, economic status, all of the above? I think it's at least clear that even if video games, movies and TV can be confidently linked to real-world violence, they are just one part of a larger and way more complicated etiology of aggression. But what do you think? Does the media influence behaviour? Discuss down in the comments. Playing video games is probably my favourite way to procrastinate, and if you're like me and procrastinate, you're going to find this video particularly useful.
Please like and subscribe, you legend.